don't know if you guys are following who and what Frances Widdowson is, but she is actually a lady of the left. I'll have you know. She is a university professor that was based here in Alberta, Mount Royal, in fact. They call her a controversial speaker if you go to CTV News. Basically, she's canceled for not being a residential school denier. She's, as I said in our meeting, a residential school nuancer. She's like, there's more to the story than just there was a mass genocide at this place. We don't need to dig up the bodies. And it was universally terrible. She doesn't believe that it is a black and white issue on all things. And also, it demands academic inquiry, discussion, and proof. So that's sort of why she got canceled. And she also has this thing that she does where she goes on university campuses and she says, okay, transgenderism, agree or disagree, or men and women's sports, agree or disagree. And then you just go stand on a spot where you either agree or disagree, like a spot that indicates agree or disagree. And then she asks you why. And so she makes you think about your own ideas and why you hold your opinions. And she doesn't even challenge them. She just basically says why. And
kind of like Charlie Kirk, eh, Sheila?
Yeah, but not even like Charlie Kirk even engaged in debate. She doesn't even do a lot of that. She just asks you why you think these things. And our team in Calgary actually went out to cover one of these. I forget what she calls them. But anyways, it's basically where she comes on campus and has this little, it's not even a demonstration, it's a thought exercise. And even the students who disagreed with her were like, yeah, she has the right to be here. I don't agree with her, but what are you going to do? You know, Alberta kids, right? Even our lefties are a little bit more reasonable than the rest of the world. But it's the academics. It's her colleagues in academia who are like, how dare she? She has to be the woman is tiny. She's like 80 pounds. Tiny little lady. And so anyways, she went to the University of Manitoba. And she went to have a discussion on her claims the discovery of mass graves at a former Kamloops residential school was a hoax. And because there has been no discovery of a single grave, not even a bone, actually. And so anyway, of course, it just got wild there. And I should tell you, she knew she was going into the belly of the beast when she went to Manitoba, because she actually just won the George Jonas Freedom Award at the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms banquet. And in her speech, she said, I'm going to the University of Manitoba, and it ain't going to be pretty, because this is sort of the percolating petri dish where this idea of a residential school denialism, which is anything but the accepted narrative, should be criminalized. And one of the leaders behind that is an MLA called Nahani Fontaine, who is of Aboriginal descent. And anyway, so Frances knew it wasn't going to be pretty, but brave little lady, she went anyway. And so this is some of her footage from what transpired at one of these institutions of higher learning where the free and liberal exchange of ideas is supposed to be taking place. Not anymore.
They put a fence around the area. They acted like they were going to have
you guys. Because of
and
you,
then they haven't done
us.
anything. Are you sure?
That's why.
And I tried because it set off the entire thing that we saw in 2021. And if we can get to the truth about Kamloops, no, I'm going to talk about it here.
Don't talk about it. We're doing the homework.
I'm not going to be at the University of Winnipeg to talk about Kamloops if I want.
If you're teaching at the University of Winnipeg, support fired from that's why you're taking the University of Winnipeg. That's why you're at the University of Manitoba also. Fired! You're on the warpath, white woman. That's all it is.
That's what the records say. I don't know. I have records. which is fine. But in terms of the envelope, do you know that the only way we can determine if there's children in Vernon counties is by being
So what is the point of it though?
so we need to find out. We need a truth.
What is it to you?
Hey, Toronto Rebel News fans, listen up. Rebel News is celebrating 10 years of fearless journalism with our 10th birthday bash, and you're invited to join us. Last week, hundreds of Rebel fans packed our Calgary party for an unforgettable night of music, food, and fun. Now it's Toronto's turn. Join us on Thursday, October 16th at 6 p.m. near Black Creek and Lawrence for a night you will not forget. Expect a lively evening with Rebel News journalists and crew, past and present, cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, and of course, a birthday cake.
Happy birthday, Rebel. Happy birthday. Happy 10 years, Rebel. There you go. That's what we're talking about there.
You know, Sheila, if I may, you earlier alluded to that on campus there should be the free exchange of opinions and ideas and debate and discussion. And I'll tell you, when I went to Ryerson in the early 80s, it's not called Ryerson anymore, folks. It's now Toronto Metropolitan University, TMU. Sounds like a subway station. Anyway, and that's due to cancel culture. You know, Sheila, you could get debates going on the most contentious issues: abortion, gun control, capital punishment. And after the debate was done, you know what? Both sides would go to the pub, the student pub, and share a beer. That's how civil it was. Now this lady can't even get to the stage. She's being
they're banging things in her face.
I know. Look at that pig blocking her and just yelling. And, you know, that's borderline assault, by the way. When you get into somebody's face that close, it can be classified as assault. So forget about having a controversial discussion. Now the plan is you get canceled, much like Ryerson University was canceled. There is no discussion, no debate, no discourse. And if you have a contrarian view, you might pay a price in terms of violence, including, as we saw with Charlie Kirk, lethal force. That is where we are on campus right now. And and these campuses all across North America and in Europe, it is the Marxists and the Islamists.
Look at from their side.
Yep.
Like, that's crazy. When you see Frances from their side, it's like, what is wrong with you people? Yep. She's just standing there while you scream at her and berate her. And I wrote down some of the things that she was saying. They're saying, why did you come here? And she goes, I could talk about it here if I want.
Yeah.
And then they said, why, what do you think? I think they said, what do you think happened at Kamloops? And she said, I don't know, but I have a right to ask. Like, it's just, like, she's just being like, hey, maybe what we're being told is not exactly true, and why can't we talk about these things? The one lady said, well, go to Kamloops if you have questions about Kamloops. And she says, why can't I talk about it here?
You know what it reminds me of, Sheila? We're going back 9 years ago. Remember when I went down to Texas for that Draw Muhammad contest? And the winning cartoon, which got the $10,000 US prize, it is Muhammad with a sword charging at the artist who hasn't completed the drawing yet. And the voice caption from Muhammad is, why are you drawing me? And the voice bubble from the cartoonist off panel is, because you're telling me not to, right? So just the idea that we don't want you here, why do you come here? No, I have every right to be here. I have every right to say my piece here. It's not your private property, not in your living room. These folks probably don't believe in private property, but that's besides the point. So that was shameful. And I would argue this, Sheila, I want your opinion on this. I think maybe the hate was amped up on her because, as you said, she's from the left. So they consider her to be a traitor.
Yeah, she's from the left. and she's from academia. From what I understand, she's like a economic leftist, whatever. That, I mean, she's not going to use force to shut me up to argue against those bad ideas. And, you know, she's open to debate on those. That's all anybody ever wanted.
Yeah.
We don't have to all think the same. But this is what they're doing to her again. Just weeks after Charlie Kirk gets assassinated on campus, this is what little tiny Frances Widdowson is exposed to. And yet these people would probably call themselves feminists, screaming down this little tiny lady who is at the top of her career and had it snatched away from her in 2020 for just asking questions.
And Sheila, one last point before we break to an ad read. If people out there think the Charlie Kirk assassination was a watershed point that the left would tone down its rhetoric, would course correct itself, would realize that an assassination is so far beyond the line that it defies description. When we finish the edit of that transgender nonsense that I covered on Saturday at Queen's Park, I interviewed a couple of them while they were marching along College Street, and they admitted to me on camera that if a person has a point of view, a political viewpoint that they disagree with, it is perfectly fine to use violence as a rebuttal. So nothing has changed, nothing.